Hello, guys, this is Vidas,
And Usha?
and today is episode 14 of Ask Vidas and Oshra podcast. Today's question was sent by Muton, our total organist student, in response of the fifth episode of Ask Vidas and Oshra podcast. Is it possible to learn to play the organ when you are 56 years old? Remember this episode that we talked about basically approaching senior age, and we gave advice. Of course, we were enthusiastic about it, and we we basically think that age is not the limit, right? Motivation is the limit. Your belief is the limit. And Osha, what do you think? Uh, should people be afraid to learn the organ when you are, at older age?
I don't think so. I don't think you have to be afraid of.
Mm-hmm. It comes slower, but
Yes.
but still you can make progress, right? So Muton, here is this question by Muton. Hi guys, this made me think. I am 54 years old and only had some basic piano lessons for about 1 year, and when I was 10. Oh, big gap. Um, I always had a great passion for pipe organ music, but never had a chance to do anything about it due to availability and access, and above all, focusing on my work as an engineer. In 2012, I discovered Hauptwerk and experimented a bit with the technical side. I managed to build up a workable setup with a 4 manual console and pedals I built myself in 2013 because the engineering side took over. I started playing completely by ear and watching YouTube videos of Dutch organists because I am South African and we have a Dutch Reformed culture there. I also stumbled across your material 2 years ago and subscribed and downloaded a lot of your courses, but time was always the issue. I have now decided that I need to focus on this passion of mine in earnest, having created a personal instrument with 12 different organs loaded, available to me at any time of day or night. So I'm starting this week with the basics. I can play by ear, have the basic knowledge of chords and the like, but I am concerned that this is taking me on the wrong path. I also started singing in the cantory as well as a 400 strong mass choir performing quarterly here in Pretoria to help me get into the swing of things. My personal challenge is to sight read and learn the correct technique. So by the age of 60, I want to be able to lead congregations, a whole new world for me in the next 30 years. Here's a picture of my setup, and keep up the great work of motivation. Oh, look, he has 4 manuals built
Yes, that's amazing.
in his home Hauptwerk on his laptop system. Wonderful. And pedal boards, a lot of switches, a lot of pedals. It looks very comprehensive,
Yes,
right?
that's amazing.
Uh-huh. Make sure you look at the photo, which is which is illustration of this post as well. This is really extremely impressive. If he built this himself, right, as an engineer. Wonderful. So, Muton's question is, of course, how to learn the correct technique, right? It's a broad question, right?
It is. It's a very broad question, but
What would you suggest for him
well, when
for
I
starters?
understood from from what he is doing, that he is playing a lot from his
Air.
ear,
Mm-hmm.
and well, I don't think this is the best way to do. I mean, if you want to become a professional organist, you have to read music.
Mm-hmm.
You have to read music. Well, beginning at the beginning, maybe results will not be as fast as it would be, with playing by ear, but after a while, it definitely you will start to make much faster progress. Because like in our Undamari studio, we have actually one student who actually mostly improvises,
Mm-hmm.
and for like 2 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and he refuses to learn music,
To read,
to
right?
read music.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he is not making a progress at all, in
Yes.
my opinion.
In my too. Improvise is wonderful, right? Improvisation frees you up, and it's extremely valuable. But we should never neglect reading the notes. And the earlier we do this, the earlier we learn at least two clefs, treble clef and the bass clef, the easier it will get later on.
Yes, and another thing, about like correct technique. When I started to play organ, I started to play organ after, playing for like piano from the age of 5. So that's a pretty early age,
Mm-hmm.
to play. And I started to learn organ when I was 17. So I had pretty good piano technique. And for me, for example, that, early music technique was very hard to comprehend and to learn. But when I found out later that for people who haven't played much and did not have good piano technique, actually that early technique of early repertoire is actually easier to manage. So for Mouton, I would suggest maybe to work on the early technique first, and then to go to the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
modern technique.
Right, because it's a lot of difference, right? You have to learn legato for later technique and articulate legato for early music, right?
Yes, because for the Baroque music, basically, you don't have to play legato, so you don't use like finger substitution, which is much easier for the beginner, and for pedaling, you don't use your heel, only toes. So
Most of the time.
mostly toes. So it's also easier, for the beginner. I would think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, alternate toes is
Yes.
very simple, basically.
And for the beginning, you have to choose pieces, that don't have so much pedaling. Maybe not pedal at all at a for a while, and then add music, where are only few pedals, like pedal points, like some Italian music, like
Mm-hmm.
Zipoli. So that should be a good way to start. And I would suggest that you would do like practicing schedule. What would you want to do every day? How much time, for example, you will be sight reading, and how much time you will spend on like exercises,
Mm-hmm.
manual exercises, pedal exercises, and then how much time you will spend on learning repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
And
Maybe
and
playing hymns too.
yes, maybe, yeah, sure, definitely hymns are a very good way to play organ, to learn to play organ.
Maybe playing some cadences and chord progressions,
Yes.
sequences,
Yes.
later on modulations. Because it will maybe set you on the path to improvisation as well. Uh, Good advice, also. I think people can benefit from this. Not only like people like Mouton, but a lot of subscribers are basically wondering the same thing, the same question: what is the correct technique, right? And uh, they can do things by ear, and this gives them the most pleasure right now, right?
Sure.
But they cannot really challenge themselves too much because it's difficult, and start learning the notes from sheet music, because it's like foreign language for them, right?
Yes.
But you have to persevere, I think, right? It's it's a must. If you're serious enough, if you want to do this at least for 5 years, right, or 10 years or 15 years or 20, basically it's a lifetime pursuit, right, of perfection. So why not start right away the correct way, right? Because later
Sure.
on you will have to
Sure.
correct things, and
Yes.
it's always easier to learn the right way at the
Sure.
beginning.
It's like, when you learn a new piece of music, if you learned it, in wrong way, it's much easier to learn, new piece than, to correct that old one.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So, guys, I hope you will start practicing the right way starting today. And if you want more advice and inspiration, of course, subscribe to our blog at organduo.lt, where you will also get our free 10-day mini course on learning to play and mastering any organ composition. So we teach you the basics there in 10 days at organduo.lt. And of course, send your questions to us. That's fun, right?
Yes,
Answering
it is.
questions.
It is.
Good
Well,
questions.
it's very interesting because, it makes you to think about things.
Mm-hmm. It's very practical, right? People are
Sure.
struggling, and this advice might really set them on the right and efficient practice schedule, perhaps, and hopefully help them solve their
Yes, and it gives
problems.
actually a lot to us as well. I think we benefit from this too.
Oh yeah,
Very
because we
much.
have to think
Yes,
about it,
yes,
and whenever we give somebody advice, we have to keep this advice to ourselves as well to apply in our
yes.
practice, right? Uh,
Just to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, well, sometimes advice might be understood in several levels, right? In beginner's level, maybe is different, and in advanced level is another story, right? How you
Sure.
practice. So keep in mind this because of your own current situation too. Wonderful. So send guys your questions to us. We will be glad to try to answer. We won't promise we know everything, but but we'll try. Okay, this was Vidas.
And Osha,
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.